Hello, everybody. I'm Dr. Reynolds, and I'll be your professor this semester for English 5260, Classical Rhetoric. So what do we mean when we talk about classical rhetoric? Well, we'll be reading texts that really set the foundation for what we think of as Western rhetoric from ancient Greece and ancient Rome, with our text ending right as Christianity is expanding. And we won't actually get to Augustine employing some ideas from classical rhetoric, but we'll talk a bit about it right at the end of the class. Classical rhetoric itself doesn't really end until the 18th century with the Enlightenment and kind of the changing in the focus and the way we think about education, the way we think about how we learn things, right? A shift away from philosophy towards more science. But we're going to focus our work this semester on those earlier texts from people you've probably heard of before. So we'll be reading things from Plato and Aristotle, particularly in Greece, right? And Cicero and Quintilian, particularly in Rome. We'll also look at some minor figures, including women in ancient Greece. Much of what we know about women in ancient Greece as rhetors and as public people comes from what men have to say about them in their own texts. We only have fragments of some poetry, for example, or some shorter oratory, but we'll be looking at that and kind of thinking about what was the role of women in early Greece in particular, and how have they had an impact on rhetorical study moving forward. So we have one textbook for this class that's required. That textbook is part of the Include Ed program here at NSU, which means if you did not opt out, it's included in your fees and you'll have access through a link in the course. You'll also have received a link in your email. So make sure you have access. If you don't, let me know and I will see if I can help you troubleshoot that. This semester we will basically read quite a bit. Every week or two. Some units are 2 weeks long because we'll be reading longer pieces. But in that time, you'll also have discussion forums where you can share your ideas and we can engage with one another about what we're thinking, what we're reading, what we're understanding, what we're not understanding, what we have questions about or comments on. So feel free to share early and often in discussion boards. There'll be some guiding ideas there asking you to write particular things. But feel free to use each weekly discussion board as just a place to come with questions as well. I will be responding regularly to all discussion posts, and I expect you all to respond at least to one of your classmates' posts each week, right? So we kind of developed what it would feel like to be in a classroom where we're actually engaging with these ideas and engaging with each other. Because it's such a central part of our weekly work, those discussion boards all together are worth 30% or 300 points of your grade. Beyond that, you'll do a presentation in the second half of the semester on one of the rhetorical topics that I assign you. You'll write a seminar paper at the end of the semester, and we'll talk about that more, don't worry. And you'll take a final exam. The final exam is open book and is really just to have you kind of reflect on what are the things we've covered in the class, and do you really understand kind of what we've done and how that applies moving forward to your life as a student, your life as a professional. Okay, so all this information is also covered in the syllabus. I encourage you to print it out. If you find an error in the syllabus or in the course, please let me know. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. You'll make mistakes along the way. We can show each other a little grace and all get along great. A couple of important policies I want to point to. Your work will have a due date for each unit. In this week 1 unit, our due date is Tuesday, January 21st. Since Monday, January 20th is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's a holiday, so I don't expect you to have work due on that day. Instead, you'll turn it in by that Tuesday, and I'll open week 2 work at that time. All your work will always be due on the due date at 11:59 p.m., so the very end of the day, okay? If you need to be a little bit late, if you need an extra day or two, just contact me and let me know, and we'll figure something out, okay? Okay, so university policies that are important. Americans with Disabilities Act, if you have a documented disability, the information for how to get that disability documented with NSU so you can get any kind of accommodations you might need is all in the syllabus. Student academic honesty statement, I'm sure I don't have to say this in a graduate class, but Don't cheat. Um, I understand that many of us use things like Grammarly or other AI tools to help us create or revise our own work, but it's really important as an English scholar that you don't do that for the work we do in this class. And you won't be able to do that if you're trying to publish or present your work as an English scholar in the academic world. That's really frowned upon because our area of study is interested in language, right? So we don't want to give away our power, our language, our voice to an artificial intelligence. So write your best work, do your best work, make sure it's your work. That's not usually an issue in graduate study. Title IX and inclusion, if you ever feel discriminated against in this class or in another class or in some other situation related to the university, please let me know or report it to somebody else. You are protected under Title IX, and NSU strives to be an inclusive community, and I strive to be part of that inclusive atmosphere here on campus. Social media, just be careful what you post, because remember, anything that you post online is there for everyone to see it. As you're moving into your careers, or if you're already working, right, you know that these social media is now part of our job applications. We apply for something, people immediately search our names online, see what pops up. And that's a reminder also that anything you post online in our course, though it's protected and private, is still visible to your classmates. So let's make sure we're kind and once again show each other a little grace. We'll all be fine. As far as attendance, it's an online course, which is great because that means you can work through the coursework for each week on your own time, around your own schedule. I have children, I have a job, I understand the many demands on our times as adults. So just make sure you get everything plan well, get everything done by each deadline for each module, and log on regularly, right? Because I will post, and I'll try to send emails every time if I make any changes or I post anything new online, but check just to be sure, okay? And then finally in the syllabus, you'll see a schedule of readings. We'll stick pretty much to this schedule unless the university closes because of freezing or something like that. That's happened in the past. But generally, you can count on that schedule to be accurate as far as what your primary readings are. Most of our readings, once again, come from that one textbook. But I will also include some readings on Moodle as attached files, so you won't have to buy anything for those. Those will be provided to you for free. Okay? So for this first week, you're going to be reading two introductory sections. The first is a general introduction to rhetoric, kind of as a field, and it kind of walks you through, like, we're going to think about rhetoric from ancient Greece to contemporary times. What does that mean? What does that look like? It gives us some context for what we're studying this semester. Put everything we're doing into a framework, so you can start thinking about rhetoric as a rhetorician or a person who studies rhetoric. The second introduction section focuses particularly on ancient rhetoric, and that's going to give an overview of the things we're going to read, write about, and talk about in this class this semester. So hopefully providing you with this introductory information is going to give you a framework for the class, help you understand what to expect as we're moving forward, and by all means preview the syllabus, take a look ahead in the textbook, and see what you think, okay? So once again, my name is Dr. Reynolds. The best way to contact me is through my email, which is reynoldsT@nsula.edu. That's in Moodle and on the syllabus. I'm the department head of English Languages and Cultural Studies here at Northwestern State University, and I'm a professor of English. And I'll introduce myself more on our first discussion board. I look forward to working with you all. If you need anything, please contact me. Bye.